to know what to do to not get depressed over my injuries. Mine has been going on for 9 months now, and I hit a massive low on the weekend and felt like giving in. So she's talking about how she's dieting and she fears that the difficulty that she's having in um, recovering from her injury is going to set her back dietarily. So injuries, unless we like that our expectations and our routine have to be changed to accommodate them, can feel pretty difficult, pretty rough. So I think it's those expectations that can often derail us. If you think of all the other contexts of your life that you've experienced something difficult within, this is pretty common. When you get underneath the difficult, though, there's usually expectations that you had that weren't met. Stars didn't align in your favor. God decided that he didn't love you that day. However you decide to reason your way through it really is going to impact you. Either way, when you can learn how to approach your circumstances with openness and with presence, kind of an approach of what will be, it's something that I think all of us can really start to appreciate in terms of how it can move us in a more positive direction. So it doesn't mean that you have to like the situation that you're in or that you don't necessarily wish that it would be different. But if you lean into it a bit, and I know these are kind of buzzwords right now, but if you lean into it a bit and you recognize that you're often creating your own misery through the way that you're positioning your attention, it's important to recognize that the very act of trying to get out of it brings it to a head and brings it closer to you. One of the most profound sort of statements that I've found resonates with this concept is that difficulty or pain or discontent, whatever you want to call it, plus resistance equals suffering. Albert Ellis, who was the father of rational emotive behavior therapy, he said, demandingness will almost always get you less. So if you demand that things be different, if you have expectations that things should be a certain way, you'll lose. You'll get less. You have to create a position for yourself where you can accept what is and then take small steps towards what it is that you really want, towards what it is that you really prefer. So I always tell my clients that if they're willing to spend so much energy being down, why not transfer that energy into something that's more effective? Not all negative emotions are unhealthy. We need them. They serve as guides, they serve as signals, they serve as cues to pay attention. Depression, like Carlene is talking about, is a pretty unhealthy negative emotion because it's on the extreme end of a continuum of disappointment and sadness. But disappointment and sadness themselves can really be signals to take action or to exact a sense of agency toward a goal. But it's important to remember that we can choose how to view our circumstances, and we can operate in either a really self-defeating way or in a really self-determined way. If you think of this, think of a cat that you're pulling a string for, that you're playing with. The cat, as you move the string more, becomes more animated and energized, right? As you move the string around, it becomes more frenetic almost. The cat becomes determined to catch the string the more you try to get the string to elude him. You can approach, Carlene, your injury in the same way. Use the injury as motivation to enhance your skill in tolerating disappointment. I know it may sound hard and it can feel that way sometimes, but again, my point is to shift your perception. So finally, while you you don't want to be injured, but I'd look at what not being able to do something frees you up to do. Again, you are deliberately shifting your perception and your attention to something different. So 3 months ago, I injured myself to a point where I couldn't even come out of the bottom of a body weight squat. It was terrible. Wasn't good. I was very unhappy, and it happened at a time when I was at a camp, and I wasn't happy. Let's just put it that way. But did I stop training? No, I did not stop training. Did I modify my training? Yes. Did I have to shift some things? Absolutely. I didn't stop squatting. Not completely. For a short time, I did, but then I decided that I needed to work my way up from the ground level and experiment with various form changes to see what I could or couldn't do. Again, a shift. So what I did was I started focusing on just each rep by itself, how I shifted my weight forward or backward, and what position I had my hips and my upper body. I just needed to experience and ground myself in knowing, having something to focus on, even though the movement wasn't necessarily as heavy as I wanted to go. So I commented recently to Joe actually that I've been squatting wrong my entire life. But this week, I was up to my normal squat weight with absolutely no pain. None. Implementing what I had learned as I worked through my injury. So I didn't give up. I shifted my perception a little bit. But think about how you would handle this too. Say, for example, in the most important relationship in your life. When your connection suffers an injury, okay, don't you try to repair it. You don't just forget about it and cast it aside. Maybe you do for a short period of time, but you give it some positive attention to reestablish the connection. So you try to go slow and you approach the relationship with openness. Extend this same sort of an approach to an injury. A broken relationship, a fissure in connection, is an injury. Anyway, Carlene, focus on what you have the power to influence. Change your attitude, change your perception, change your focus, shift it. Go be with people, stop playing the victim, be a scientist, and prove yourself wrong. Listen to what the thoughts are telling you and prove yourself wrong. And then ask how your current mode of operation is really serving you.